Welcome to the RFS 450, round 1 of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship.
2013 had plenty of thrills and spills, but 2014 promises to be even bigger and better. In fact, over 100 vehicles for the very first race. It was the RFS 450 in Harrismith.
The waiting's finally over. After an enthralling 2013, the drivers are back for more. It's all systems go for a season which promises plenty, including a host of new and exciting additions.
What an awesome opportunity. I've never been to the cross-country series, and I think they certainly know how to put a good show together. For motorsport, if you want to see how it's done, this is where you need to be. So, I don't know. I mean, I haven't got in the car yet. Speak to me afterwards.
So at the end of the day, it's got 4 wheels in the steering, and you just have to make the most of it. So,
yeah, we're still on a high from the last year's racing, but it's the beginning of a long season, so you've got to wipe that slate clean and start again.
Absolutely amazing. I think it's anybody's desire to get into a phenomenal Ford Works team like this with Atlas Copco backing it.
It's something else, the independent rear suspension, something you get used to, and it's also a learning curve for us to get the setup perfect. But all in all, the car feels very good and very comfortable to drive. Yeah.
With the split, I think it's bringing new life into the sport, which is a great thing. And also putting the unfair advantages V6 and V6 and V8 against one another. We were in that.
It's all for points now, and you know I haven't raced competitively for 2 years now in a proper championship. So excited to put a good year together and win another title.
What's quite exciting this year is that the first event is new for us. So by nature of what we are, we know nomadic as a sport, and we love doing things differently. We don't like anything of repetition or anything that's monotonous. So a new venue is great. We moved to the second event, we moved to Mooi River, which is again another new area, beautiful part of the country. And then Botswana is a new terrain in the sense we're probably 160 kilometers out of Gaborone, which again brings on new challenges and new excitement. So it makes for a whole new exciting year.
First up, qualifying at the RFS 450, and plenty of eyes on defending champions in the production vehicle category, Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy from Castrol Toyota.
Also in Class T, the brand new RFS Ford Ranger of Christian de Plooy and Henk Janse van Vieren, the title sponsors of this event.
And surprisingly, Taylor and Murphy were quickest in class in qualifying, despite the fact that Anthony even admitted that they made a number of errors along the way.
Just 20 seconds behind them, the Atlas Copco Ford pair of Manfred Schroeder and Joppie Badenhorst. Schroeder filling in while Chris Visser recovers from the operation he had following his crash at Dakar.
Third in Class T, the new Atlas Copco Ford racing duo of Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau. Gary saying he absolutely loves the new car.
Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie had a fairly tough time of things in their Castrol Toyota Hilux.
Of course, Leroy and Rob competed together at the Dakar, and while they are certainly used to a very tough terrain, Harrismith proved to be tough too. The pair getting stuck along the way.
Cobus van Tonder and Freddie Creel have a new Ford Ranger to play with, and it helped them secure 4th in class.
Now they were actually behind Poulter and Howie, but the latter's mishap saw the men from Unifreight move up a spot.
In 6th place, the Atlas Copco team of Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson, behind the wheel of their Nissan Navara.
The first men in the new Class S, Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux from Rubicon Racing in their Toyota Hilux.
Back to the T's. In 7th place, Regent Racing's Michael Whitehouse alongside a new navigator in George Myberg.
Second in Class S, Pit Kotzer and Solomon Victor making a return to the Nationals after 3 years away.
We've seen them before, but now they are officially part of the championship. They're side-by-sides. The quickest being the team of Leander Pinard and Carl Swanepoel in their Can-Am Maverick. So another great performance from Taylor and Murphy from Toyota, quickest amongst the production vehicles, just ahead of the Fords of Schroeder and Badenhorst and Berthold and Rousseau.
Moving over to the specials, Class A had a welcome new addition to the lineup, Colin Matthews and Martin Amida from Century Racing, the pair having competed in Class P last year. A new year and a new colour for the elegant fuel pair of Quinton and Cully Silval. The black definitely worked for them, as they were quickest overall in qualifying in their Bat Venom.
Defending champions Evan Hutchison and Dani Stassen came through second fastest. This terrain definitely suiting the special vehicles more than the production cars.
Some more Silvalts, this time Hamann and Wichart and their elegant fuel striker third on the grid for them.
Back to Matthews and Hermida, a good performance in their Century Racing CR4 as they just missed out on a top 3 place.
In fifth spot, Arthur Barnes and Anthony Ashe and Bat Venom graduating from the KZN Regional Champs to the Donaldson Cross Country Champs.
The fastest 6 vehicles were all specials, including the Jimco of Gerard and Gerhardus Duplessis.
Plenty of spectators out on the route, including that interested fellow. Overall, it appears the specials were well suited to the rugged Harrismith terrain. Marius and Yolinda Ferree in their PHB Bat Spec 4 in 7th position.
Less than 40 seconds behind them, the KZN pair of Lance Trethewey and Jeff Minute in a bat.
John Telford and Andrew Macanete thought they'd had a terrible run, but only found out afterwards that they had in fact finished fastest in Class P.
So a superb day for the Silvalt family as Quinton and Cully finished quickest, with Herman and Wichart grabbing 3rd place on the grid, sandwiched in between the defending champs of Hutchison and Stassen.
As always, with racing done and dusted, it was back to DSP for some much needed tweaks and repairs, some needing a bit more than others under the Free State sky in the heat of Harrismith. More action from the RFS 450 straight after this.
Welcome back to the RFS 450. Let's join Derek, who's at the start.
It's a fresh and crisp morning here in Harrismith, day 2 of the opening leg of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship, the RFS 450. Over 100 vehicles taking part, and right up in front, we've got the special vehicle of the elegant fuel team of Quinton and Cully Silvalt. Quinton, feeling the pressure being right out in front?
Yeah, I know for sure. I think today's going to be a tough day, hoping that the rain stays away. I think that's going to be a game changer if it does rain. So plan for today is just to stay out of trouble, make as little mistakes as possible, and then hopefully get to first the pits and then from there the finish.
I think today's going to be difficult, opening the road in that new 70k loop that we have to do today. I think it's going to be very tough, and I think things are going to change quite a bit there. But look, I'm just going to try and have a clean run and bring it home.
Let's recap the overall starting order. The first 6 places were held by special vehicles led by Quinton and Cully Silvalt, while Taylor and Murphy are in the first production vehicle in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. And they're off, the Silvalts with a slender lead over Hutchison and Stassen, just 3 seconds to be exact.
Starting 16 seconds off the pace, Hamann and Wichart Silvalt, closely followed by Matthews and Amida of Century Racing.
Getting a good start in front, Quinton and Cully loving this route in Harrismith.
Well, they're locked in battle with the motorized pair of Hutchison and Stassen, proving that the more things change, the more they stay the same. On board with them now, and it couldn't be more fierce up front. They've collided with the Silvalts, but quick to put up their hands and apologize.
Holding on to third, the other Silvalts, Herman and Wichart. So far, a 1-3 for Elegant Fuel.
Experiencing life in Class A, Matthews and Hamida from Century Racing, 4th place so far, and making sure not to fall foul of the marshals at the designated stop and go.
Next amongst the specials, newcomers to the Donaldson Cross Country Championship, Barnes and Usher, lying in 5th place in their Bat Venom.
In 6th place, the Duplessis, Gerard and Cahardis in their Jimco. This is the 17-year-old Cahardis' first ever cross-country race.
The first production car, defending champions Taylor and Murphy from Castrol Toyota. They are motoring.
Going along very well after a long break out of the saddle, Manfred Schroeder, sitting alongside Jaapie Badenhorst, who's been apologizing profusely to his driver as all his instructions have been in Afrikaans. The Atlas Copco Ford Racing pair are currently in 2nd place, and you can see them passing Herman and Wichard Silvalds, who stuck on the side of the road with a flat. But it looks as if these two have wrong slotted. Well, there they go, back on the route. Or are they? A car coming in the opposite direction is never a good sign. And would you believe it, it's their teammates Berthold and Rousseau, which means the two teams have switched positions.
Berthold and Rousseau thoroughly enjoying life in their new Atlas Copco Ranger. Gary looked like a kid in a candy store before the race.
In the specials, with their Bat Spec 4 proudly adorned with images of meerkats, Marius and Yolinda Farie are 6th in class.
Lying 4th in production, the new Ford Ranger of Kobus van Tonder and Freddie Krill from Unifreight.
Trethui and Minute are making good time, and the pair are gaining ground on the Faries. They're in 7th place.
And rounding off the top 5 in class for now, the Dakar boys from Castrol Toyota, Poulter and Howie in their Hilux.
And they're very closely followed by the Dirt Sport Components Porter of Gibson and Campbell.
You can't miss the Atlas Copco Nissan Navara of Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson. They're lying in 6th place.
Our first Class S competitor, Yanni Fuss and Joks Leroux from Rubicon Racing in their Toyota Hilux. Two men who must be very happy that the original SP class was split down the middle.
Another two men that will be very happy, John Telford and Andrew McInerney in their Calcimite Rhino Tanks Bat, the men to catch in Class P.
So after 40 kilometers of the RFS 450, Quinton and Cully lead the specials ahead of Hutchison and Stassen, with Matthews and Amidas 3rd.
In the production vehicles, it's Taylor and Murphy in the Hilux, ahead of the Fords of Berthold and Rousseau and Schroeder and Badenhorst.
Back to the racing, and no surprises as the father and son pair of Quinton and Cully are still out in front.
But they are being severely challenged by Hutchison and Stassen, the motor-white duo relying on their skill and noose, which won them the championship last year.
While specials dominated during qualifying, the production vehicles are finding things far better on day 2. Class leaders Taylor and Murphy narrowing the gap between them and the Bat Viper.
Speaking of which, Hutchison and Stassen look to have lost their way. A U-turn needed to get things back on track. And ahead, only just, the Silvalds, Quinton and Cully. This is brilliant entertainment.
As if that's not enough, they've also got to contend with the Hilux of Taylor and Murphy. This certainly is cross-country racing at its best amongst our leaders.
Arthur Barnes and Anthony Usher have climbed to 3rd in class, and it's bad news for the Silvalds of Herman and Wichard and the CR4 of Matthews and Hermida, both teams out of the race.
But very much in the hunt, the Duplessis, Gerard and Cahardis now in 4th place.
Having some hassles is the Atlas Copco Ford of Manfred Schroeder and Jaapie Badenhorst. They were overtaken, but they look to be back en route.
So some catching up to do for the Ford team. Also a team that looks to be stuck on the right side. Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie from Castrol Toyota. Some beautiful maneuvering from Schroeder. It's like he never left the Donaldson Cross Country Championship. The pair having no problems now.
Just behind their teammates Bertholt and Rousseau, the two forwards holding on to positions 2 and 3 respectively.
Well, the men in third doing their best to get past their colleagues. And they've just collided with their own teammates. That's not going to help the two forwards. I can't imagine Bertholt will be too pleased about that.
Well, Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell going smoothly. The Dirt Sports Components team currently 6th in class, with Trithui and Minute having retired after breaking a steering arm.
Still holding on to 4th spot, Van Tonda and Creel in their Ford Ranger. The Unifreight pair having experienced no problems yet.
One of the nicest guys in the championship, Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson from Atlas Copco, 5th in class.
Further down the field, the RFS Motorsport Ford Ranger of Christian Deploy and Henk Janssen van Vieren, the pair had an extremely erratic 2013, always challenging the leaders, but seldom making it to the finish. Let's hope the new car will change all that. Ahead of them, the Regent Racing Nissan Navara of Whitehouse and Myburg. But not anymore. Great driving. Season overtake.
Oh, and it looks like you cursed them, Derek. Their car's slowing down and looks to be coming to a halt. Let's hope that that's not their race done for.
Cruising in front in Class S, the Rubicon Racing Toyota Hilux of Yanni Visser and Yorks LaRue. Lying in 10th spot, it's the Celeb team of the Imperial Auto Regent Racing. Marius Roberts with Terence Marsh. Terence Marsh having raced last year alongside Gerard Skitter, so this time he'll have to get used to a new navigator every single race. Marius, of course, a well-known TV presenter, especially when it comes to motoring, so I'm sure he's in capable hands.
Meanwhile, in the side-by-sides, it's Pinard and Swanepoel well out in front in their Can-Am Maverick. The side-by-sides only complete the qualifying race and one loop of the main race.
We've reached the halfway stage and first to reach DSP, Hutchison and Stassen.
But on the one hill that we went up, we looked back down and I could see the guys all lined up. So they're all coming, but we're in the lead, which is good. Car's great, and at least now we know where we're going for the next loop.
In third place amongst the specials, Arthur Barnes and Anthony Usher.
I think we'll just stay where we are. We're not going to chase anymore. We're just going to try and hold our position and get some valuable points and put them in the bank.
So after the first loop, defending champs Hutchison and Stassen lead the field, 43 seconds ahead of the Silvolts of Quinton and Cully, with Barnes and Usher rounding off the top 3. Let's catch up with the production vehicles.
I managed to take the lead, and then we got into a long section of open grass where Evan eventually just came past me because of power. But I mean, other than that, it's going very well, I must be honest. Now that the route's a bit open, I think we can give it a go and try and catch him and pass him. But main thing is to just finish, and where we are is exactly what we want.
Not too far behind Taylor and Murphy, the men from Atlas Copco Ford.
The route is exceptionally tricky, some very wet grass, a lot of tight stuff, a lot of rough stuff, so we're staying focused all the time. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Bertholt and Rousseau lying second, with teammates Schroeder and Badenhorst third. Taylor and Murphy from Castrol Toyota hold top spot.
On to the second loop of the RFS 450, and things not looking good for leaders Hutchison and Stassen. Their Bat Viper coming to a standstill.
And it's clearly a puncture to the back right tyre. And that's allowed Taylor and Murphy to take the lead, followed by Quinton and Cully Silvolt. This has been a dogfight between the top crews.
The Duplessis, Gerard and Gerhardus have climbed up to third place in their Jimco.
They've overtaken Barnes and Usher, the duo in their Bat Venom, having dropped to fourth amongst the specials.
Marius and Jolinda Fourie lying in fifth place. Marius, one of the happiest drivers out there, having described the route as fantastic and awesome.
They may have had a difficult first loop, but Leroy Polt and Rob Howie have shone in the second. They're currently second behind teammates Taylor and Murphy.
In third place, Schroeder and Badenhorst from Ford Racing. The driver admitting that he and his co-driver are still getting acquainted. Looks to be a very good partnership so far.
But it's not looking good for Archie Rutherford and Gerard Skitter.
Well, a bad day at the office. One wrong decision. Yesterday I saw Dion got stuck on the left, so we thought we'd come on the right-hand side today, but unfortunately not enough momentum, and we got stuck. We got beached on top there, and two guys were trying to tow us out, but to no luck, to no avail, so we stuck here. A couple of hours, we're spectating now.
Well, there are worse views in the world. Lying in 6th place in the specials, Gibson and Campbell, going well despite breaking the anti-roll bar.
Lying 4th in class, Kobus van Tonde and Freddie Creel from Unifreight, their new Ranger proving to be very competitive.
Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson from Atlas Copco. Their Nissan Navara having kept them in 5th place, even though they're looking a little lost out there. There we go, they're back en route.
Currently running 7th in the specials, Jimmy Zahos and Alan Smith in their Cobalt Racing Striker, despite working with the wrong gear ratios.
In 8th place, Keith Tutoy and Zander Mer, who are currently running with a misfire.
Well, some nice entertainment there for the spectators. A number of new cars in action this weekend, as is the case for Jason Venter and Vincent van Alleman from 4x4 Mega World to have climbed a class. Well, some superb speed from their Toyota Hilux, putting them in front of a very courteous special.
Still first in Class P, John Telford and Andrew Macanetti from Calcimite Rhino Tanks, two men that are yet to get out of the car. Macanetti actually swapped roles for this event from driver to navigator.
Second in Class P, Rob Walk and Ashley Thorne in their Aceco K9 Dog. Walk and Wood will share driving duties this year.
A nice return from Pit Kutsia and Salomon Victor in their Toyota Hilux, although they are closely followed by Frikkie Buerta and Koos Visser. Looks like the water played a part in preventing the men in the Bad Spec 3 from overtaking.
First in Class S, Peter Ruthven and Hansi Reeder from Rubicon Racing, settling nicely into the production vehicle after competing in Class A last year.
Donaldson Cross Country Championship stalwarts Macanetti and Hlutwa taking things easy through the water. And another new car putting them in a new class. The well-known Horn brothers Johan and Werner from Malalan Toyota.
In fact, this is the exact same car that won the championship last year. It was driven by Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy. Father and son Graham and Trevor Leaf, their Transcore Ford Ranger carrying battle scars from a very tough RFS 450.
Loader Brain and Rian Hweling have Terence Marsh to thank that they're still in the race. The former cricketer pulled the pair out of the mud 10 kilometers from the end.
Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau have endured a miserable time in the second loop. A punctured CV boot stopped their momentum, and they way down the pecking order.
Line 13th in the productions, Christian de Ploy and Henk Janssen van Vieren in their brand new RFS Ford Ranger.
We've seen their dad in action. Here are the kids, Jacques and Lizelle van Tonde from Unifreight.
So as we head towards the finish line of the RFS 450, Taylor and Murphy lead the overall standings, while the Sewelts, Quinton and Cully are first in the specials. Will they hold their respective leads with the checkered flag just around the corner?
They certainly do. Another superb race from the Castrol Toyota pair of Taylor and Murphy, finishing almost 10 minutes ahead of teammates Poulter and Howie.
It wasn't a very easy event, and it's from a navigational point of view as well. And I must say, Dennis did a sterling job on the book, so yeah, I think it's how we recovered from the small mistakes that we did make is really what brought us the win.
So a 1-2 for Team Castrol Toyota, while the Atlas Copco Ford Racing team of Manfred Schroeder and Jaapie Badenhorst rounded off the top 3.
In the specials, Quinton Silvalt proving to be a very promising driver. Another victory for him and his dad Cully for Elegant Fuel, finishing almost 3 minutes ahead of Hutchison and Stassen, while the Duplessis rounded off the top 3.
Obviously a fantastic start to the season for us. We had a really nice battle with Evan the whole race through. We passed each other about 4 or 5 times, which was a lot of fun, nice clean racing. And look forward to a good year and a good championship, and fighting with Motorite and Elegant Fuel is going to be a tough battle.
So after one race, it's top honours for Elegant Fuel. A victory for them, Hutchison and Stassen Motorite, the defending champions, finishing second, with the Duplessis in third spot.
Our next event is the Toyota Dealer 450, another new event on the Donaldson Cross Country Championship based in Moy River at the Western Agricultural College on the 4th and 5th of April.
Thanks for joining us in Harrismith. Catch us for more of the action in KZN.
The Donaldson Cross Country Championship, brought to you by Donaldson Filtration Systems, a market leader in filtration solutions.